Well, some of us can be heard by naturally speaking.
Well, that's great. Before we get started, we're a second or two early. I wanted to give a little bit of housekeeping about the new microphones. You can hear it's significantly louder. We also have a new mixer in the back that auto-tunes and auto-mixes the voices based on who's speaking and distance from. So that said, to the council, as you are using your microphone, they are flexible and they do kind of wobble. That's by design, but we'd ask that you kind of point it in your direction. You don't need to eat it. You don't need to lick it. But please just have it pointed. If you're going to sit back, pull it to you a little bit. And they should be sufficient. We haven't had any complaints yet from anybody that's viewed the videos, knock on wood, right? So if you guys would just remember that, let them be directional. That's what they are. Any questions on those? And notice the podium, Chase and Hannah also have the same. They're also bound into that. So
Yay.
now they'll stop saying that the attorney's too quiet. All right. That said, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. I've asked Councilman Steve Brown to lead us in prayer and pledge.
Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for your love and your kindness. Father, we ask that you be with each one of us as we take on the city business today. Let us have clear heads and clear hearts, Father, and keep the city's business in mind. Father, bless each one of us, guide and direct us. Yes, in Jesus' name. Amen. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You, Hannah, if you'll give us roll call, please.
Lamar.
Here.
Shropshire.
Here.
Bradshaw. Here. Shears.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Trammell.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Okay. I do not have any petitions from the audience, but I would like to take a moment to do something that I feel is pretty important. For most of you, this isn't any news flash or anything new, but the city of Pryor did lose a very important person this last week. Former mayor, Chief Jordan, passed away. I think it would be only appropriate that we recognize his service to the community, to the county, and all of those that he touched through his time in his leadership in law enforcement and to the city of Pryor. So I think it would be appropriate if we took a moment just to reflect and have some silence in his behalf and for the family. Please remove your covers. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on with the consent agenda. Are there any items that we need to pull?
Yes. I guess number A.
A? Okay. If there's none other, I have a motion to approve B through J.
Motion.
A motion from Brashears,
Second.
second from Charles. You can call for the vote.
Lamar.
Yes.
Shropshire.
Abstain.
Bradshaw. Yes. Shears.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Trammell.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Okay, item A, approve the minutes of the January 6, 2026 council meeting.
Motion.
Make the motion, Mr. Mayor.
I have a motion from Terry and a second from Brashears. And call for the vote.
Shropshire.
I'll abstain.
Bradshaw. Yes. Shears.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Trammell.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Lamar.
Yes.
All right, moving down to the mayor's report. Discussion and possible action to hire Justin Wallace as a bee operator with the street department, range C, step 1, effective January 21, 2026, to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Seth Jinks.
Motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion from, excuse me, Shropshire and a second from Brashears. Buddy called and was not able to make it tonight. He had a family emergency. If there's any discussion on that.
Mayor, is Mr. Wallace here?
Mr. Wallace? It's not here.
Okay.
So, okay.
Mayor, I do have a question. Is it normal that we hire somebody, then run a background check on them? Is that normally done, or how we normally do it?
Typically, we run that background check once we've made the decision to hire them.
Okay.
But that, yeah, that should be done before they're hired.
But has this one been done?
This one, I don't think we've done it. Once we agree to hire, then
Okay.
we'll have that done. Okay, further, call for the vote.
Bradshaw? Yes. Rushiers?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Trammell?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Lamar?
Yes.
Shropshire?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Item B, discussion and possible action regarding an offer received on the property commonly referred to as the old Police Department building located at 214 South Mill, Pryor, Oklahoma, from Navarez Properties LLC in the amount of $450,000, and authorizing the mayor to sign all documents deposited in capital outlay, all documents necessary to facilitate the sale. The estimated net to seller is $412,292. Proceeds are to be reimbursed, are deposited in capital outlay, sale of surplus account 44004181, with $565 to be reimbursed to the EDTA for their expenses related to the sale of the property. After the closing, and the funds are deposited, a separate proposal will be submitted to the council concerning further allocation of these funds deposited into the capital outlay, sale of surplus account 44004181. The EDTA recommended that the city council approve the sale of this property for this amount to Navarez Properties LLC in January 12th, 2026 meeting. Presentation of the offer by the EDTA, Adam Anderson.
Motion.
Second?
I have a motion from Choya and a second from Bradshaw.
Yes.
Discussion? Adam, would you like to step up and?
Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Okay, so I think each of you have received a copy of the EDTA's letter and recommendation and the contract itself. The EDTA in the review of the contract found everything reasonable. We are paying a commission to the realtor of $27,000 on this. We found that very reasonable. There's a contingency in the contract for financing. We did not see any problem with that contingency. And the inspection timeline noted in the contract was very reasonable in its scope and nature. The only additional provision that we recommend was that the city of Pryor to provide buyer with all required building permits at no cost to the buyer. To add in that would be, they would apply for those permits within the first 12 months. That way it protected them and gave them a definitive timeline while they're doing that work, that those permits would be waived. This is the potential to help an existing Pryor business stay in Pryor and expand their operations. That's fundamental to the EDTA's mission, and I think it's something important to see happen with that building itself. It does return a vacant building to operation and for the occupant to generate sales tax revenue for the city of Pryor, which was something that was pretty important when you guys assigned that mission to the EDTA to sell it. It was the unanimous vote of the EDTA to recommend this. The realtor is in the audience along with the Navarez's, if you have any questions of them, but we do recommend that you guys proceed with this and ladies approving this contract. The closing would be in March, and we don't see a problem with meeting that timeline.
Thank you.
Appreciate the work you guys did on it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
You guys have any questions or concerns or comments? Okay. We will go ahead and call for the vote.
Rushiers?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Trammell,
Abstain.
Brown,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes.
We got some paperwork to do. Item C, presentation and discussion regarding the 2025 Bluegrass and Barbecue Festival from EDTA Chair Adam Anderson. Yeah. Yeah, you'll be item D too, so you might as well just.
Yeah, sit down between these two.
Get you a chair.
Okay, so the Bluegrass and Barbecue Festival. Sent this report out to you guys and ladies. So this was the first Pryor Bluegrass and Barbecue Festival held in October. It was funded by the EDTA through the dedicated Fund 68 downtown tax. So while the festival did not achieve the attendance or revenue levels of the 2014 event, it did demonstrate Pryor's ability to host a high-quality downtown festival, attract professional entertainment, and provide meaningful quality of life benefits to residents and local businesses, despite significant weather challenges. So for expenses, the EDTA established a budget of $100,000 for this festival. We did spend $99,431.74. To my knowledge, that's all inclusive. There was a hotel motel expense item that I added to this report after the EDTA report. So that's the $3,875, and that paid for, I believe it was an additional clean out of the porta-johns, and then it paid for the advertising. So how does that compare to 24's total expenses? The total expenses in 24 were $93,923.25, so fairly similar, a little bit higher in 25. The main difference there was we did pay for a booking agent to help us with securing the talent. As far as income, the income for the festival was dependent on sponsorships, food trucks, and vendor fees, and the sale of various items related to the festival and drinks. So the total income for the festival was $37,726.83. Sponsorships made up 74% of that, or $28,000. The festival's attendance was negatively impacted by the severe weather on Friday and Saturday. However, the impact on the ability for acts to perform was minor and did not rise to the level of an insurance claim or require the complete cancellation of the festival. So we did have insurance for the festival. But when we started looking at what a loss would look like, the loss resulting would have only really been there had sponsors said, we want our money back. They got the advertisement. We had no pushback from sponsors saying, hey, we don't feel like we got enough. We had 2 acts that were not able to perform. But those acts have both expressed a desire to come back next year. Several of the acts that were here were impressed with the facilities. They were impressed with the green space. They were impressed with the attendance that showed up before the storm. So compared to 24's festival, the income was approximately half. I included a listing of that income in there. So again, we made $37,000 in 25. 24's income was $75,000. That's a difference of $37,467.08. So almost 50, exactly half. Sponsorships were one of the shortages. So we had a grant that we received in 24 that we did not receive in 25. We did not apply for that grant based on some of the stipulations of that grant. We felt like we would not really qualify for that grant for 25. There were some building things that we needed to start earlier to be able to apply for that grant. And then we had one major sponsor that did not return that year. Vendor fees was another item. So we had a lot of strong vendor interest coming in through phone calls, email, text messages, up until that weather report came out. And then when it came time for those vendors to send in their funds to secure their spot, they started backing off. The weather just really played a significant part of this. So it also led to a decline in drinks, front porch passes, and merchandise sales. So attendance using Placer AI, the total visitor count for the 25 festival was approximately 3,000 visitors, making a total of 3,300 visits to the festival area. Many of those visitors came on Friday, October 17th, which is no surprise given the weather on Saturday. The attendance for 24's festival was 9,200 visitors, making a total of 10,200 visits to the festival area, which was great, but we had extraordinary weather in that October, and again, the weather did not cooperate this year. Looking at the differences between September 6th and 7th, The attendance on Saturday, the 7th, was almost double what it was on Friday, the 6th, in '24. So if you take those numbers, our total attendance should have doubled from Friday to Saturday. So we should have been around 4,500 to 5,000 attendees. Again, still down drastically, or, about half, but it's a building process. We knew there was going to be some differences this year. So the impact on businesses. While the weather had an impact on attendance and what could have been at the event, we still had reports of good foot traffic in stores and good sales. It was not at the level of '24, again, but for a new festival with severe weather impact, the overall event was successful. We had a minor impact on police, fire, street department, and emergency management. Emergency management, they really earned their keep that day. They were very good. They were very active. They stayed in constant communication with mayor. Anytime we needed to pull acts off, we knew what time it was, the communication was there. Could not have asked for better partners than that. Volunteer base, that was probably one of the biggest differences between having it in September or October this year versus September. Our volunteer base was wonderful. We had no real issues getting volunteers, and it really was a struggle the previous years. So the impact on Pryor residents and attracting outside visitors, the festival provided a wonderful quality of life event for the residents of Pryor. It was a free festival. That's one of the challenges of a free festival. You've got to make the money off of sponsorships and merchandise sales. So, in summary, while the '25 Bluegrass and Barbecue Festival did not replicate the runaway success of the '24 festival, it remained a benefit to the community. The event supported local businesses, had minimal impact on city resources, and demonstrated strong interagency cooperation among the EDTA, City of Pryor, Pryor Area Chamber of Commerce, Pryor Main Street MUB, and numerous partners. The festival did not recover approximately $61,704.91. That's not an approximate, that's the exact number, but of the total investment. However, '25 should be viewed as a building year, further challenged by severe weather conditions. There are opportunities for improvement, including refining the vendor layout, reevaluating the closure of Graham Avenue and other city streets, and enhancing logistics. Plans for '26 include a more focused festival designed area centered around the green space, improving flow, visibility, and attendee experience. Ultimately, the '25 festival proved that Pryor can successfully host a large-scale downtown event and attract high-quality entertainment. Investments in community events, just like investments in streets and sidewalks, generate long-term value that extends beyond the immediate financial return. The festival represents an important step in building Pryor's downtown identity and community vitality. So, that is the reports on the festival. I'm open to any questions or comments that you counselors may have.
Gave it a heck of a shot.
We did, 9 and 26s.
Yeah, and I don't know, because I don't know if you've even thought, did having it over fall break when a lot of families are out of town would that make an impact, or what do you think? I mean,
So,
what you know.
I think that it probably did make an impact on some people that would have otherwise attended it that lived in Pryor. But I think for every one of those that didn't attend, we attracted more that were able to attend because it was over fall break. And because there were it's one of the few weekends in the fall that there's not really a conflict with football on Friday night.
Yeah.
And, there was some conflict with Saturday with sports. Got some ideas for that for this year, but I think fall break did not impact it
Didn't impact
significantly.
No, and the other promise that we made last year, the conclusion of last year was that we were not, 24, was that we were not going to compete with the county fair. The county fair took an absolute hit. And so we put our offer out to them to support them and buoy them up in that. We did as much as we could to keep that promise to them, and it was better for them. But that weekend has really just kind of proven to be the one real, true, available good time for us.
Yeah.
Did you get any, did you request any feedback or anything from the vendors that were there?
Mhm.
And what did they, their suggestions, and then what did they come back?
So the weather, we couldn't do anything about that.
Oh, right, yeah.
But that is some of the feedback that we've taken into consideration with how spread out things were. Some of that came from the vendors that were setting up in the street, plus the local merchants. It's one of the reasons that for '26 Festival, we're looking at pulling that back to the green space and really packing Rose Street and the county parking lot with the vendors and the merchants and keeping Graham Avenue open. It'll give us more control if we do have a vendor that doesn't show up, if they're in a more compact area, give it a better festival feel. Really had this disconnected feel, especially with not as many vendors between where the music was happening and downtown. It was quite a distance to go. So I think pulling that back and a lot of that feedback came back from those vendors.
Because, well, just from our perspective, we were potentially looking at being vendors there. But the vendor applications went out probably less than 2 months prior to the event, which I know this is a first-year event. There's a ton of moving parts, and there's a lot of things that you got to go through here and there. You know, usually when you're a vendor, a full-time vendor, you're booked for a year. And virtually every place that we go, it's a year open, there's no refunds once you're a month or two out, so on and so forth.
Right.
So I assume we're planning better for that.
So part of last year was we were still trying to negotiate an agreement with the previous festival for them to come back and move the date. And that drug on into March, April,
Easily. yeah.
before we could actually make a solid case on that. We don't have that this year. We've already communicated with a lot of those vendors that will be at the same date this coming year, getting those locked in, and we have discussed reducing the cost. So we communicated with those vendors that were here that there's a reduction in the cost from what it was in '25, plus an additional discount if you're a returning vendor. So some of those things, we've already got some pretty solid feedback and response from them for save the dates and stuff like that.
So just to give you an example.
And you're not tarring feathering me currently, so that.
No, we've been really taking every positive and negative that we could out of that and building on it. That's what we really kind of take some pride in doing. One of the things, like you said, is the vendor pricing. You know, we had a couple of vendors last year that said the pricing was too high. We realized that we didn't have very many vendors. So using that ideology of we'd rather have more vendors that pay us a smaller fee, thus collecting more sales tax off of those vendors, we'd rather take that approach than paying, having 6 people pay double the amount. So right now, the idea is, and the county has approved, as of yesterday, the county approved us to use the county parking lot behind us to put the marketplace vendors on that. That also then makes accessibility for handicap and things like that a lot easier. We've already begun talking with MUB about what the power looks like for that situation. But even in terms of food trucks, we put something out there and we've already got our concessionaries locked in. That's a company out of Shoto. That's about as local as we can get for those. And then we've had a response for about 6, not saying we're going to take them. We've had about 60 food truck vendors that are aware of our price, aware of what we want, and they are all desirous to be here. And we're saving the date for many of those. We'll probably have to narrow that down by like a lot. But the idea is,
At least they're trying.
well, but that's the point is, to what you said, is we've locked in those ones that are hardest to get now, those concessionaries. They're a year or longer out. And they came to us saying, we're in, we got it, lock us in, we gave them a price. So we've got a lot of motion taking place right now on it, and it seems to be working, when you say fairly well.
It's working much
Clockwork.
smoother this year, partly because we've been able to start sooner. We've also began sending out contact and contract information to entertainment. So we're actively working on some larger names that were not able to come last year, but that we believe will bring a pretty good crowd, and then some additional changes to the festival to maybe attract a crowd on possibly Sunday. So those will all be changes that we're looking forward to coming in, and we're starting the planning and between Mayor and I and Main Street and the Chamber to get those things in. I know Houston is working with some representatives and senators on a bill that's going to be heard, I believe, from what he said, is going to be heard on the floor, that will provide some state sponsorship to festivals like this in communities. So, and if it does happen, we would potentially be an applicant for that. Right now, it's looking like it wouldn't be something we could apply for in '26, it would be something for '27. So FYI, there'll be a Fund 68 request coming up. But I do think it's doing its job. It's getting prior notice. There's a lot of talk and activity about it. We've been, if I pulled up the email right now for the festival, there's probably 10 requests from different regional bands saying, hey, we'd like to be on the list to come. Some big names in bluegrass have reached out about it, as well as some local acts to say, hey, we want to be active and involved. And then some of the entertainment that attended have already said, we've got the date blocked off, we're just waiting for the contract, so.
Yep.
Anything else?
Well, and I think you touched on it. There was a couple vendors that I had spoken with while I was there, but I think the only real pushback, not pushback, but feedback was, yeah, you mentioned the spacing of the vendors. And it was kind of hey, set up where you want, which granted there was enough space. We didn't want that space, but it was there. Usually when you show up to a place, they have you a spot, they want you here, they've got it planned. I assume
That was the result of the storms and the people calling saying, we're not coming.
okay,
So there was an entire map that laid out where everybody was supposed to be.
okay.
And as they checked in, you're supposed to go to this spot. And then as we were adjusting to the storms coming in, people calling and saying, I'm not coming, people posting on Facebook, I'm not coming. Some of those things changed. And yes, we had some people that, for example, were supposed to be down at the corner of Adair and Graham, and they were the only one that was going to be down there.
Right.
Because everybody around them had called and said, hey, I'm not coming. So kind of on the fly said, hey, you can set up here or at Rose Street, just kind of set up wherever you need to. So some of that or most of that was a result of dealing with changes on the fly as they happened.
But that didn't affect, because there were no refunds actually given once you're within a week, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that number wasn't affected by, well, they canceled and they were refunded.
Correct. No, there were no refunds. That number was affected by, I'm interested, send me the invoice, followed by, send me another invoice. We were sending reminders,
Yeah.
followed by, hey, I saw the weather report, I'm not showing up.
Okay.
So just so everybody's aware and anybody listening that may be asking themselves, we have already talked to the businesses in the downtown corridor, and they are all, 31 of them, correct? 31 of them are aware that this will not be on Graham Street, nor will it be on South or North Adair. They all understand the reasoning, and they were all okay, and they all understand that it'll be their responsibility to self-promote their business for that weekend, that the events from now on are probably not going to include closing Highway 20 unless it's a fairly focused, targeted event, like a parade. And they were all okay with it. They're all on board, and so that, we should be good there. Thank you, Adam.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Don't run off.
Go for it.
Don't run off, Adam.
All right, yeah, stay put. Item D, presentation and discussion of the Pryor Area Aquatic Center Pool Task Force Study and Recommendation. Presentation by the EDTA Chair Adam Anderson and Pool Task Force Chair Mike Moore.
Evening.
Okay. Long time no see. So Mike and I kind of fine-tuned this at the EDTA meeting, so I'll go first, and then Mike will wrap it up and dazzle and amaze you guys. So the first thing I'd like to make sure I publicly say is that we appreciate the Pool Task Force for coming out and helping with this. Mike Moore served as the chairman. I was a member. Don Barger was a member from the EDTA. Chris Graves from the Park Board. Keith Shelby from the Park Board. Frank Powell, City of Pryor. Park Superintendent Karen Cook and Houston Britton served on the task force from the Rec Center. Rachel Sordahl, Dana Lamb, Frank Vargas were all community representatives that were appointed by the mayor to the council, or to the task force. Jackie Moyers, she's from the rec center. She served as a member. And then we had ex officios with Zach Doyle and Jared Crisp from MUB. Angela Smith served as our administrative assistant. So with that said, we have what I think is a pretty inclusive executive summary. So I'll try to go through this pretty fast, but instead of having to come up with the words again. So the Pryor Area Aquatic Center project addresses a critical unmet community need in Pryor and Mays County for a modern, comprehensive aquatic center and fitness facility. Since 2019, the community has been without a functioning public pool due to severe structural damage, extensive water loss, and non-compliance with current safety and accessibility standards. The existing facility is beyond repair. Renovation of the old facility is fiscally irresponsible and technically infeasible, with estimated costs between $8.3 million and $9.5 million, and continued operational risks. Moreover, its location within a floodplain and limited footprint make it unsuitable for a contemporary aquatics complex. Our solution is to construct a new state-of-the-art aquatic center strategically located behind the rec center in Pryor. This location maximizes accessibility and synergizes with existing recreational amenities. This phase development will offer diverse aquatic activities, including water slides, a dive tank, a zero-entry children's play area, lap lanes, and a lazy river and competitive pool. Designed with accessibility in mind, it will cater to all ages, from families with young children to senior citizens and individuals with mobility challenges. This project is more than recreation. It's an investment in the health, equity, and economy of Mays County. The absence of local aquatics facilities forces residents to travel to Tulsa, Muskogee, or Tahlequah, highlighting a significant market opportunity within our 35-mile target radius of 59,319 school-aged children and their families. As the sole dedicated water park facility in Northeast Oklahoma, outside of these distant options, we'll leverage our unique market position to capture this underserved demographic, offering unparalleled convenience and accessibility. Guided by the Pool Task Force, an initiative requested by the City Council and comprising diverse community stakeholders, the project has undergone extensive public engagement, design, cost estimation, and feasibility study. We are currently in the master planning phase, focusing on funding feasibility, phasing and operational planning, with a target opening in June of '28. The robust management team will ensure operations safety and superior visitor experience. We will implement modern technology for streamlined operations and employ a comprehensive marketing strategy. While seasonal business, initial capital requirements, and operational complexities present challenges, our phased approach, diverse revenue streams, and commitment to rigorous safety protocols and preventative maintenance will mitigate these risks. The Pryor Area Aquatic Center will promote health, wellness, inclusion, and economic growth. It will provide local jobs, attract visitors and potential new residents, retain recreation spending within the community, and support youth development and family engagement. The proposed water park will be strategically located at 111 Southeast 9th Street in Pryor, directly behind the rec center. This location was chosen to enhance accessibility and create potential synergy with existing recreational offerings in the area. To ensure efficient operations and optimal use of resources, the development may be carried out in two distinct phases depending on available funding. The Pryor Area Aquatic Center is not just a pool, it's a legacy investment in community health, youth development, and regional growth. For further insight in the decision-making process and why alternate locations were not selected, please refer to the corresponding actions. So this packet took us approximately 2 years of work. We went through the creation of the task force, plan of action, which included reviewing the prior plans for repairing the old pool, watching videos of city council meetings, park board meetings, dragging up old copies of studies from 10, 15 years ago, doing a funding study, engaging the public for their input, going through a design phase, and then going into this proposal that's in front of you today. One of the things that I would like to stress is what we're asking for at this point is for your approval to move forward to the next phase and allowing us to prove that the funding is there, that we can raise the funding or come back with a plan that includes raised funds, grants, possible bonds, possible sales tax. But let us come back to you with that plan. We're just asking if you believe that this plan is something we can move forward to. And we'll absolutely come back with a presentation on funding to construct and operational funding to include the operations and the ongoing upkeep. We've addressed bits of this in the plan, but the next phase is for everybody on this council to say, we believe there's some merits in this, now go prove to us you can fund it. I'll turn it over to the closer, dazzle him.
Well, you stole all my thunder, by the way. So, but I guess what I would add is that we have modeled this after Muskogee. They've got a water park similar to what we would like to have. And so the information in your packet comes from conversations, visitations, numerous conversations. They shared their financials with us so we could kind of get an idea of what to expect. We did scale it down, Muskogee and the county down there is over 60,000. We're right at about 39 or 40. So we've scaled back the revenue projections while leaving the expense side of things the same. We've used a lot of the background at the rec with our expenses there with the pool and all that kind of thing. You can see in there, we've phased that a little bit. If you go year to year, in those 3 years that we've listed in there. So we feel pretty confident about, what we've put together financially, because we know that that's the key, right? Is can we make this go? The other thing we spend a lot of time talking about is maintenance, ongoing maintenance, and making sure that we did this thing with that in mind. We've got, I think, a considerable amount built into that will build over time. So we feel good about that. And, of course, the big challenge lies ahead is, getting the funding. And so we've got some ideas on that. We have tentatively formed a task force. We've sought out some professional counsel in the fundraising arena. And so, pending approval from the council, we'd be pretty much ready to start that phase of the total project. So I guess with that.
Adam, I did have a question. You and I discussed, if you
Okay.
could tell everybody else what we're talking about. My question to you was, why can't we simply build a small swimming pool? And you answered my question, but if you'd answer
Sure.
everybody else, they'll know what we're talking about.
So my answer to Bruce's question about why didn't we just propose building a swimming pool, just 4 concrete walls and a floor. All of our studies and research show that is not what attracts visitors. It is not self-sustaining. It will not generate enough revenue to pay for its ongoing operations, let alone its upkeep. And we will be right back into the same situation we are with the existing pool. It will be a budget line item that every time there's a stress on the budget, we'll cut that out. There's not enough attendance. You take a few thousand kids maybe, or 1,000 kids that go to a public pool, and they're paying $4 or $5 a piece. And, that's not much revenue over the summer for something that's gonna almost cost as much to operate as what the rec center does today. And you look at an aquatic center that will attract people, that you can charge a higher price for, that it is a destination. It also brings an additional sales tax, and you're attracting 30 or 40,000 people or 10,000 people versus a few thousand or 1,000 or less. The attendance at the pool before was pretty minimal. This will be a regional attraction, and it will pay for itself ongoing, not just for the first few weeks of operation.
Second question, have you figured in on this study, if we get the money to build this, how we've got the money to run it as far as hiring people and the maintenance? Is that figured in these?
That is figured into the projections. We've got in the proposal to build in a 1% maintenance reserve, so of the cost, so that would be about $200,000. That's part of what we would do with the fundraising as well, is put aside that money initially. And then in the financials that Mike put together, there is roughly $30,000 a year that gets set back each year from ongoing revenue to pay for expenses as we go. Based on what the rec center does, I think that's a pretty reasonable number.
There's a $30,000 line item there, plus we'd be spending $52,000 the first year, kind of one-time startup cost for the equipment and the concessions. There's some lifeguard equipment, so that's a one-time deal up front. So if we hit those revenue numbers, then that would go into the reserve as well moving forward. So, in essence, in the second year, we would have, around 80,000. Assuming we get by 2 or 3 years without any kind of major maintenance with, equipments have warranties and things, so I would think we would make it a few years. So that would give us some opportunity to build that plus the 1%, so.
Well, in your study, do we have enough populations in this area as compared to Muskogee or Tulsa to run it,
Yes,
attract it?
we did, and the forecast took that difference in population into account between the two areas, and I believe it was, I forgot, we reduced it about 30%.
Yeah, we took their revenue numbers and then brought them down 70%. And even at 60%, it still would cash flow based on what we're talking about.
We also stressed the expenses and increased the expenses over what we were seeing in Muskogee.
So we've got a pretty good real-life example of what we need to run the thing.
I have 3 questions.
Okay.
Projected overall cost?
For the pool itself, the
Aquatic
construction,
center.
the aquatic center, approximately 20 million.
Okay. What kind of money are we going to save for, not maintenance, but if this is a legacy thing and it's gonna go on in perpetuity for a while, what kind of money are we gonna put back for improvements and things to keep drawing crowds as it goes?
So, again, that 30,000 a year needs to go back for those long-term improvements. The other ongoing maintenance is built into the budget, the annual budget. That 30,000 is really a set-aside, like the rec center does, and what they're pulling from now for air conditioners and things like that. What we are recommending is a little bit stronger governance up front, and not waiting 20 or 25 years until you start doing that maintenance.
That's where that question. We're
Sure.
pretty bad about not taking care of our own stuff, and so building something in there from the start, I think, would be important.
When the charter or whatever document is put together to form the aquatic center board, one of our recommendations is for that to include some very clear language about the necessity for sustainability and ongoing reporting about the maintenance, and not just letting it sit there until it's in dire need of repair.
And then the last one is, is there a plan included or being talked about or anything? What are we gonna do for our citizens? Do they get a discount for going there? I mean, I feel like if part of this is probably gonna have to be funded with a bond, I doubt we could raise 20 million. But maybe you guys are great at that. So
We're
if we're
gonna give it
pass
our
a bond
best.
on, I just feel like at some point, we ought to do something for the citizenry that live here and use it. Is there a plan for that?
And it's gonna follow a similar structure to the rec center membership, which does take into a consideration that the taxpayers are paying part of that ongoing bill for the rec center, and there would be some considerations for different pricing for citizens.
You mean like a yearly pass or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how is what accounts is the funding gonna come from? Is it gonna come from, like, basically general fund stuff, or is it gonna be a completely separate account,
that's-
like the streets or rec or so on?
Our recommendation is it would be just like the golf course and the rec center.
Being that it would
enterprise account.
generate its own revenues, excuse me, being that it would generate its own revenues, it would be considered an enterprise fund. So it would be set up and established clearly, not under the rec, not under golf, but it would be its own enterprise account, set up just like those other two are, so. Yeah. I want to just kind of remind everybody, the purpose behind this task force wasn't to just waste time and get all this information. One of the things that was super important when we put this out there was we were just coming off the completion of a bond project that didn't go so well. We started with a bond project that was supposed to be about 6 million, and then, another 7 million later, we're still not done, and then we've still got some problems here and there several years down the road. The city We're not pointing fingers, we're not going that route. But the point is the city didn't do that right. And we owe it to the citizens, every single citizen, to make sure that we are dotting all of our i's and crossing all of our t's, doing all of the due process and making sure that it's done correctly before we go into it, to show that if we do have to go for a bond, that's not anything we've said we're not doing. But it's also not what we've said we will do. It's just if we have to, that the citizens understand that they can trust the leadership of the community is dedicated wholeheartedly to doing this the right way. And it will be managed, it will be, and by that I mean the construction of it will be properly managed. Whoever we need to do, to put in place for that, the funding will be watched, the budgets will be kept. But before we go into it and say, well, we're just gonna build this really cool thing out here, we've got some repair work to do, and that's really what this is about, is making sure that we've done it right. And I'm grateful that we have, because this task force over the last 2 years has found a lot of things that we needed to know, that we would not have done if we'd have just jumped right on in and built a pool. And so we want to make sure that we do it right. But as Pryor grows, Pryor is becoming a destination point in the state of Oklahoma, whether it's for, people going to the lakes, whether it's people going to music festivals, whatever it is. It also can be a summer destination for our kids and families. And so much like in the past, my family's gone to Muskogee or Wagner or Tahlequah, we will pull those people from those communities as well. So I think it only does us right to slow down, do it the right way. And in that, you'll probably see if there is bond funding required, the emphasis will be on things like infrastructure, sidewalks, drainage, not playgrounds. We're not going after those things. If we need to borrow money from the citizens, we're going to do it for things that we really, truly need and we've been lacking for decades. And that's going to be for streets. That's going to be for, like I said, sidewalks, drainage, and the aquatic center. And it will include removal of the old and finding something productive to do with that space so that we can keep it a family-oriented area. And so I am very grateful to everybody that was selectively put on that council, that committee, whether it was they were on the original board that built the rec center, or they have a in-depth background in construction, or they understand how those things among those properties work. So we're grateful for the work that's gone into that. Thank you guys for your presentation.
Did you guys have any questions?
Yes. With this proposed location being next to the rec center, and that's kind of a swimming pool, aquatic center of this type is going to create a lot of water and a lot of construction in that area. And to tie in with the location of it now versus the current football field facility just to the east of it, and then a new school that's going to be built just to the southeast of it across the street, has any kind of feasibility study been done on that property to account for what could happen for potential drainage, major drainage issues with taking that land, building it up, and the natural flow, I think, of that water goes to the southeast into where this new school is going to be built. So anyway, this is going to create a new footprint for, has any study been done for that location to take into consideration drainage and changing the landscape of Mother Nature there?
So that was part of the considerations with the design that we did with PDG. They did look at the initial hydrology studies from the rec center and the water outflows. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but there is room for water retention. The water retention pond that is at the rec center now will be able to be utilized for this. That we're not moving that water retention.
Right, we won't have to disturb that.
So a lot of our water for this would go into that water retention there. We did have some minor discussions with the school about the water and the aquatic center when they were building the football stadium. There was some discussions with PDG about that, right?
And Jared, we had some discussions in our meetings with Jared
And
about that as well.
Nobody brought up any concerns at that phase discussions.
And at one point, in the consideration for this plan, it was mentioned to save some money, I think, or somewhere I heard discussion that the current football field parking lot would be utilized jointly for our parking lot for this water park. Is that still a plan?
Yes, yeah, and we did have conversations with the superintendent regarding that and shared the plans. And if you look at the plan, you can see where there is a driveway that ties into that football stadium parking lot.
Okay.
We had some in-person meetings to discuss how that would work. Of course, the school would have preferential use of it, but an aquatic center use and football games are not at the same time.
Okay.
So there did not appear to be any major conflicts of interest for that. And that saved in the design a couple million.
And is it still the plan for this, is this going to be a year-round facility?
So, the entire aquatic center, no, but there is, one of the phases that would include covering the competitive pool that would allow that season to extend and allow for that programming to be utilized by the rec center itself.
So you'd have to heat the water?
For it
Yeah.
to still be competitive, you would not heat it to the same level as you do the indoor, rec center. And I'll let Mike talk
Yeah.
about that one more.
Yeah, because, the swimming teams would like it to be cooler than it is now. We keep it at 87.
Okay.
So, I'm not sure exactly what it would be, but it wouldn't be 87 outdoors, so.
So what months would that take place? What months would competitive swimming take place?
It's in the summer.
Okay, so there wouldn't be anything in
Yeah,
fall
we
or?
would, yeah,
Oh, so it's not year-round?
primarily.
Okay.
Well,
We
not,
could extend it year-round.
yeah, yeah. It could be used for other programming. It could still be used for some of the type of programming we have now, if we need extra space,
Okay,
so,
and a lot of parties too,
yes, yeah,
family stuff.
yeah.
Does the city own this land we're talking about?
Yes.
How much do we have out there?
Oh, gosh, I'm not sure. It's over 2 acres, I think.
Enough for a
It's enough.
aquatic center and
Yeah.
expansion for the rec center if
Yeah.
they
we-
did
yeah,
need it.
Yeah,
Okay.
But, Terry, to your point about the competitive, there's also youth competitions that go on, I believe, during the winter. And my kids did it, and we were forced to go with everybody else to Claremore in order for those competitions, and you'd be there with, 200 parents watching kids and buying concessions and stuff. So there is a market for during the winter months for rec.
And right now, for the funding to build it, first of all, I've said all along, first of all, Salisaw passed a sales tax to build their new water park swimming pool facility. I don't know what Muskogee did, but I have said all along that to build something of this magnitude and to operate it is probably going to have to take a sales tax and/or a bond issue to build it in a sales tax revenue to keep it ongoing perpetually. And if it would have to be put up to a vote of the people, obviously, and if the people wanted a new pool or a water park, and if they wanted it, then they would vote for it. And if they don't want it and don't want to pay for it, then they won't. But that being said, your funding source to build this is just assuming and lobbying, basically, and going out and begging whatever to get people to donate the money to build it, whether it be from individuals or foundations or grants of things like that, which is not a given. And your study that you did earlier with Swanson House concluded that you could only come up with approximately how much?
3 to 5 million for phase one. And their study also found that for Pryor, because of some of the challenges for previous public projects, that we would need to show that we could raise that 3 to 5 million. And then they believe that there would be significant donations in phase two once we proved that we could properly manage a project of that size. So there were a lot of limitations that were brought up in that study based on those previous public projects that the mayor talked about.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, when this task was given to us, it was given to us with, see if you can figure out a way to pay for this without it being a tax on the citizens. So that's the direction we've been heading, because that was our initial task, was can this be done without it being a tax on the citizens? We're saying, we've got a plan, yeah, we're gonna be the ones going out begging for money. But, and if we can't do it, we're gonna come back with a plan that may say, here's what we were able to raise, here's the grants that we were able to obtain, and in order for this to happen at this level, we need a vote that has a sales tax or a bond of some sort with it. But we're now to this point to where we need the ability to be able to go to donors and say, we've got a plan that is backed by the EDTA and by the city council and by the Parks Department and everybody on this list. Will you help us make it a reality? And let us talk about it, and what kind of funding would you be able to help us with?
And getting the funds given or donated is one thing to build it, but it's going to be an extreme overhead cost to maintain and operate it. And that's where you think it's going to be from revenue from the citizens that use it. Okay.
Let me
You
ask,
talked to Muskogee and Tahlequah and different places and found out if they can maintain their,
A lot of that feedback was, I'm gonna paraphrase it, but
sure,
we should have began day one preparing for the maintenance that we knew was going to come. So, back to Councilor Brown's question, we've got to start planning and saving on day one for what's going to happen in year 20. We can't wait until year 24 and say, dang,
we've got
we
to.
really should have put some money back. So it is going to take some fiscal responsibility to make sure that this thing can sustain itself. And it's gonna take the responsibility of this council and future councils and boards to say, hey, there's a couple $100,000 sitting over there. We don't need to touch it. That's there for a defined purpose. So there's some fiscal responsibility that has to be built into this.
And that's been a major fault of this entire city government for decades and decades of not taking care of what you have. And this looks like it would be a very nice facility that we don't want to let that happen.
I agree, and as Mike and I have talked, we'll continue to sell this plan until we have the funds raised, or until you guys say, guys, it's not, quit trying. We think it's a pretty doable plan. We've talked to professional fundraisers outside of Swanson House that will go through and tell stories of we started this with $0 and asking who we thought would be major donors, and they said no. And we raised a substantial amount of the money without them, and they called us and said, hey, we'd like to donate to that project. There's also a lot of people that Swanson House identified as well that said, you know, we're not ready to give to this plan, but we'll give in phase 2, and we'll give to establish a maintenance budget. So,
Do you have anybody already that has committed
committed?
to donate something in funding?
I mean, yes.
Okay.
Now, I want to be honest, it's probably Mike and I. But it's a couple $100, but it yes, and we have others that have said, you know, hey, I don't have a lot, but I'll contribute a few $100s.
And then to Mayor, I take it what you said a while ago, that we have to be fiscally responsible for this, not only this group, but the future, the council and the city. And I know the city council received a document over the weekend from some private citizens that were concerned about fiscal responsibility. Did you get that email?
No, I didn't get an email, so
Okay.
you could share that with me, I'd appreciate
Well,
it.
I will. I'm gonna forward it to you. But there was a couple that had expressed, a consideration for a policy, and they were very, 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 put this together very well
It's professional.
about, consideration for the budget problem that we have and about this big facility and being long-term approach to public projects with discipline on our future financial health and everything. And they even came up with a proposed resolution that this city council passes. And I know it's not on the agenda, but I want to send this to you, and I don't know if anybody else has an opinion of this, but they have a very, very good fiscal responsibility plan here on this proposed resolution. And I think it would kind of tie in to maybe consider this to back up that we will be responsible. And I'll send this to you.
Yeah.
And would like you to consider it. And, but I do think that we should give them a chance to come. We're not approving anything tonight, that we're building one. It's just to proceed with a plan to come up with proposed funding for it. But you also have to take into consideration on the funding that the architect that was gonna redesign the existing pool 2 or 3 years ago, or about 3 or 4 years ago, said that you are not gonna know your exact cost until you get your bids back. And we all know that prices of everything is going up, and there's gonna be a lot of concrete, a lot of things in this process being imported with equipment, with tariffs, blah, blah, blah. So we don't know what's gonna cost yet.
Correct.
Yep.
And I would add along with that fiscal responsibility thing, this was different than anything Pryor's ever done.
True.
I've lived here my entire life. I've watched every project come up, have its day in the sun, and whatever else happened with it happened. But this is, I think, the first time that a city council has said, we want to do something. We want a group of citizens to get involved and come together and put together this research and then make a written proposal. You guys are doing a lot of that stuff by having this done. And, and I'll be honest, Mike and I took a lot of comments from like, oh my gosh, what are you guys even doing on this? Haven't heard anything in 6 months. Well, it takes a lot of time to put that together, and to be honest, if you say, yeah, try it, see what can happen, come back with the funding plan when you've got some numbers and some real meat behind it, it's not like we're gonna be back on the agenda next week.
It'll take a
It
while.
may be 6 months, it may be a year, but, we'll come back with a plan, but it doesn't happen overnight.
I don't know that we found out what we can't do. Okay, we'll throw that out the window. Now the only approach we've got is what we're talking about now is what we can do and see where we go. Mike, will the rec center survive without any sales tax?
No, probably not.
So we can't assume that this is gonna survive without any sales tax. I mean, you're running it like a business, but you still have got more expenses and you're gonna have to
It's
go to
a
tax.
different animal, though.
Yeah, well, that was
I think we're we're all talking about funding here, and we're not even at the stage of you knowing how to answer that question. Our job tonight is to give you approval to go forward to figure out and come back to this council on what the funding is. We sat here for 30 minutes talking about something you don't have the answers to.
Correct.
So,
Well, they've got a lot more answers ahead when we started.
Jerry,
Well, no, I
I'd like
agree,
to-
but we need to just approve this plan tonight and let them go forward and come back with what the funding issues are gonna look like.
So Terry, real quick before we wrap up, and I agree, I echo what you say. My commitment to this project is we've put this much time and effort into it. We've had all the right people in all the right places. I honestly, truly believe that. I believe that when the call to action went out for a task force, not a committee, that the task force has been to task. But that said, like I said earlier, we're not going to do anything that isn't the right thing. And that means until we're 100% sure that that's the direction financially that we need to go, there won't be one shovel put into the ground. And unfortunately, I'll be the bad guy, I'll say it, that means we may be that much longer without an outdoor pool. If we need to work something out with the indoor pool that we've got right now, we'll have those conversations when it's time. But our dedication, when this came out and we brought it to when I brought it to the council and the council took it to the EDTA, was to make sure that we do it right, that we manage it properly, and that we're not out wasting taxpayer funds like we've seen within the last 10 years. That's not happening again. We can't do that.
Well, they're
So-
definitely not doing that.
So I appreciate you guys doing your work. I appreciate the rest of the task force, and I appreciate the council and your questions. So thank
So
you.
one last question for you, Adam.
Mhm.
Do you have an estimate on how long it would take from the time we broke ground to we're able to open? Would it be a year, year
About
and a half?
roughly a year.
Okay.
And those numbers, not to drag this out more, but those numbers and those estimations are based off of real-world bids that PDG got back for other projects. And then they built in, so the same thing happened with those. They started the process, they got the bids in, the bids were higher, they had to go back. As much as we could, current tariff situation excluded, that was built into the pricing that you see in here. They knew that it was gonna be 28, so they built some of those escalations into it. So we're giving you as close to accurate numbers as we can today, based on bids that came in for Salisaw, for remodels at Muskogee, for 10 other water projects in and around Tulsa, including Texas, right?
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah,
That's a
excellent.
lot of work.
Excellent.
Yeah, give them a round of applause. They've done good work.
That's right.
That's your
You've
20,
got sticky fingers.
Adam, that's your 20 million. All right, item E, discussion and possible action on accepting the Pryor Area Aquatic Center Pool Task Force study and recommendation and authorizing the funding steering committee and the pool task force to move forward with seeking funding for the aquatic center as discussed in the plan. Presentation and discussion by EDTA Chair Adam Anderson and Pool Task Force Chair Michael Moore. It was a
Motion.
great presentation.
Second.
I have a motion from Steve Brown and a second from Bruce. Further discussion? Call for the vote.
Tyler,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Again, thank you to the pool task force. Discuss and possible action regarding an expenditure in the amount of $9,356 to Backward Audio LLC for an audio upgrade in the council chamber to be paid from City Hall Capital Outlay Account 4444555427.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion from Choi and a second from Rushiers. Discussion?
Is it working?
Yes, I got a report that it's way better.
Okay, we're good then.
Yes.
Yay.
It's an interesting name for a
That's his last
company,
name.
but
Sound okay, Nina?
Nina,
as
can
long
you
as
hear
it works.
Can you hear it?
Oh, my gosh, please don't get her started. Call for the vote.
Trammell,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Good discussions. Item 5, the city attorney's report. Discussion and possible action on regarding an ordinance of the city of Pryor Creek, Oklahoma, granting a non-exclusive permit to Clarity Telecom LLC DBA Blue Peak for the construction and operation of a cable system.
Motion.
I have a motion from Brown, Steve Brown,
I'll second.
second from Choya. Discussion.
So I have a procedural question first and then a general question. First of all, the procedural question is, in the previous agenda item, you had included language in the
The ordinance itself?
Regarding, it has to be a majority vote of the council, and it has to be published, the publication requirement.
Oh, in the agenda
That's
item?
not in this one tonight. What impact does that absence have on anything?
It doesn't have any impact. I was just having those put into the agenda items as a reminder to everybody. That's what the law is regardless.
So regardless if the wording is there or not. So my second question is, why do we have this city ordinance requiring us to approve these individually? Why can't we just get rid of the city ordinance and let anybody come in and do business in this city without interference of this council or municipal government?
Part of it's they're using your easements.
Using your what?
Your easements.
Okay.
Is that our easements or MUB's easements?
Both.
City easements.
Yes.
Yes. So again, but, I mean, right now we have, I can think of Vive, AT&T. Did a previous city council approve them coming in and doing business?
I sure hope so.
So, yeah, so let me
If they're
explain.
using your easements, yeah.
So Vive, you kind of have to backwards engineer this. The original agreement was with Charter, and the wording in that franchise agreement is anybody that is Charter or anybody that is their successor for
Allow
their
assignment probably.
their assignment or however that's worded. So when Cox took over for Charter, that automatically went into effect for Cox. When Cox left and Vive came in, it immediately went on into Vive.
Yeah, I would assume, and that was before me, so I don't know how it all happened, but I would assume anybody who's using the city's easements got approval, otherwise it's a trespass.
So some of the recommendations that I've heard from council members is, one, can we put a 10-year limit or renewal opportunity for that franchise agreement? Say in 10 years, we review it.
I wasn't ready for that question.
I know, I'm sorry.
It's on page 3, paragraph 2.2.
Guess who asked that question?
Well, I was gonna look at your actual franchise ordinance.
Well, my question on that is, the issue with the charter was something like this would have had to gone to a vote of the people, but federal law, or well, court case, it says, well, that can't be utilized as a viable means of oversight.
Right.
So,
The theory being the voters aren't as informed or as able to well research each individual entity coming in as the council.
right, so,
That case is-
yeah, okay, so to Charles's point on that would be, so that just shifts to someone like us, or does that just go away and then it's a free-for-all for?
No, you guys are now the electorate. You guys are the deciding factor.
But it sounds like if we vote no, if the council denies this, then they're just gonna turn around and sue the crap out of us.
That I don't know. Based off of the email earlier from Jared, it sounds like that, but I haven't actually spoken to Blue Peak. The council has every right to deny a franchise or grant a franchise. Your decision is to make sure you're granting them to somebody who's coming in and knows what they're doing, essentially. What you don't want to be doing is granting them to, if I apply to run fiber optics, you don't just want to give me a green light. I don't know anything about fiber optics. So this is your opportunity before you start granting easements to make sure that they're actually qualified, is really what the position is for. But you can't prevent competition, if that's the reason for the vote. If you
Actually,
think,
to my point, I think this is preventing competition. I mean, I get the easement portion, but there's got to be something that says or better language that says we're approving an easement only. We're not actually approving,
you're approving the franchise agreement, is what you're approving.
it just seems like fair market forces are being impacted here with this council, or with this ordinance. And I get what you're saying, but it's just,
If we vote on this, are we voting on how it's worded right here? There's no implication of if you pass this, we'll give you free internet, or how, I've heard that mentioned. Is that a problem?
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Well, I understand.
they're gonna get six
Well-
buildings here, to include the city hall, will get
Five,
free.
so-
Five, whatever, let me talk, will get free internet. which is somewhat concerning to me, considering we have a company here now locally that's providing that internet service. They're gonna lose revenue.
I don't know, I would have to,
And we, to me, if we're gonna go out for a free internet service or any type of internet service between this company and another company, we would need to bid that.
We would have to turn that down, because you can't take anything free from,
I don't think you should pass something with the basis that it's gonna be provided for free. I can
Right.
tell you that.
To me, we need to be bidding out our internet.
Mayor, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, can I talk?
Yeah.
Yes.
Have at it.
So,
That being said, I have
Well, I
not
want you to
researched
add
if that's
to
an
it.
issue. It's a red flag, I will tell you that right now.
do what?
I think it's a red flag to me if somebody's saying.
So, yeah,
"Approve this
so,
and you get
and
free stuff."
like I told Counselor Lamar before we met today, and I've shared with others, that's their offer, is for 5 locations within the city to provide internet for those businesses. I'm not sold on that. I don't think anybody's really sold on that. Would that be any different than the agreements that they've made in the other 12 to 14 cities in the state of Oklahoma that they've done, or the other states? No, that's the same thing they're doing there. Does that change it? I don't know. That's really a you question. But the point that I want to get to is we need to be very mindful that when we start telling a company like this that we're gonna halt or delay their ability to bring fiber, specifically fiber, to the city of Pryor, we have a couple things we need to keep in mind. I have neighbors that live directly across the street from me that have to use satellite because they don't have internet to their house right over by the cemetery. That's throughout the community. So for whatever reason, companies that are existing or have been here forever haven't been able to perform that task. And I'm not speaking ill of anybody. I'm not saying names. I'm saying the scenario is. The other thing that we need to be remembrant of is that we have individuals in this room that have residents in the city limits of Pryor that have Bolt. Bolt is a fiber optic company that has come in. We also have in the Tallgrass area, SS Telco has jumped over the lake and is providing fiber to surrounding areas. This is much like what we see with PSO and the power companies, is that it becomes a borders game. And if they can block an area out, then they run control. And that's not my desire. My desire is to provide another option that's affordable, that provides top quality internet in 2026, where everything we're doing is internet-based to the people, and it allows them that opportunity to choose. If they don't like it, they won't buy it. That's the bottom line. If another company can't match the pricing and be competitive, that's not our job to regulate that. I think what we need to remember is, do we want to allow the citizens the opportunity to have another choice in what they do? And that's the direction that I'd like to focus on is, there's been a lot of good questions asked over the last couple of weeks from many of the council members and community. And I think a lot of those answers have been straightforward given. I have confidence that Blue Peak will do what they say. If the council doesn't feel that they want to word a franchise agreement in a certain way, then that's their right to say that. I have no problem with a 10-year renewal. I have no problem saying we don't want the free internet. I have no problem with any of that. I think more important is I have a problem with saying we're not going to allow the citizens an option for what they want to buy. If we're going to follow that mentality, we get one antique store, we get one gas station, we get one, and it doesn't work. Competition breeds sales. And so that said, when this was voted down in the last vote, given the numbers, it was immediately brought to my request to put it back on and start back over. So here we are back at round one, requesting a vote to allow that franchise agreement that we control the wording of if we need to. So there are things that they'll need and there are things that we need. That's where their attorneys and Ben Shear and Chase, that's where they get paid to do what we need them to do there. So, but we need to be mindful that stopping Blue Peak isn't going to stop fiber companies from coming into our city limits. It's who are we going to have an agreement with in those easements so that we can control that versus those that are just coming in on the outskirts and blocking all of that out. There are some hazards we have to be careful of.
All right, in my 30 seconds of research here, because I wasn't ready for that question on a time limit. So your charter, section 79 says, no franchise shall be renewed before 5 years prior to its expiration. And then section 80 is no franchise, lease, or right, yada, 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 shall be granted by the city for a period longer than 25 years.
So every 5 years, it could be renewed.
Sounds like it. Again, that's my 30
I have
seconds worth of
never-
Do
research.
we
If
do
I-
that with the existing companies?
I don't know what their current leases.
No, I don't think that's how that works. I think with the one we have currently with Charter Cox Vive, it's there and it's done. Terry?
I agree with what you just said a while ago, that competition is good. And I am for this ordinance in allowing them to come in, because, like I said, competition is good, and it gives people a choice. I do have a amendment to this proposed ordinance that I'll bring up in just a second, but I have a procedural question for Chase first, that I was the one that voted in the negative on this, when it was voted down a while back. Is tonight's ordinance is this start the procedure over again to start? It's not going to be approved tonight. This is like this is the presentation of it. It has to start from scratch again tonight and move forward. Is that correct? Just like a bill getting shot down in the state legislature or Congress, it's coming back up, and we're going to start over again.
Yes.
Okay. I would like to, in section 2, subparagraph 2.2, I'm for it, but I want to strike the language that says the permit and agreement will automatically renew for one additional 10-year term. I don't like the idea of these automatic renewals that get thrown on you. And we up here, the mayor, the city council, may not even be here in 10 years. And the new group, whoever that may be in the future, this is going to get thrown on them, and they may not even know about this 10-year renewal. It says it shall be for a term of 10 years, but I want to strike the automatic renewal language. It will have to come back up again in 10 years.
Now, what he read a while ago, did he say 5 years was the renewal time?
He's talking about the charter. I'm talking about the language in,
I mean, what would we make it 5 years
well, is that a
also?
difference, Chase?
Earn your money. Go ahead.
Yeah.
He just said that the minimum you can do it for is 5, and the maximum you can do it for is 25, so you can do it anywhere within.
That's what it
range.
looks like
25,
in,
25.
right.
Okay.
my quick reading of the charters, that's how I'm reading that. I have to break that down and then see if there's anything that says that's not proper too. There might be a case out there with, 'cause you gotta remember, when your charter was enacted, none of this stuff in federal law existed in
Right.
internet stuff. And so that's one of the issues that first caused this, was my initial reaction was you have to vote. There's a case that specifically says, no, that's not right, federal law trumps it. So while I can tell you that's what the charter says tonight, I haven't done research to see if there's federal law that says it has to be auto renewal, or it can be longer or shorter or something like that. But I can make a note, it's 2.2 that you're reading from, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I can make a note and do research on that to see if we can get a better answer.
I mean, how did you come up with this language that you had in the ordinance? Or did somebody else do this?
They drafted it, I've reviewed it. The red is what I've added in, which is on the first page. And that's clarifying, because I wanted in the ordinance, I wanted to clarify why we weren't taking it to a vote of the people. That's the only actual change I made to the ordinance. Let me make a note and I'll do research.
Well, the way I look at it is that this body is the board of directors on our side. They have their side, they're negotiating things. It always doesn't always go to the other side's favor versus the board of directors, so to speak. And again, I'm in favor of this, but I want that language taken out of the ordinance.
Another thing to consider, which you guys won't vote on it right now, but, I don't know what Blue Peak's position is on that either. They might say, if you're not gonna auto-renew it, we don't want it type deal. I have no idea. I'm just, there's two parties to this, is what I'm saying. So-
Right.
But let me do research, see what I can find on that issue.
And if they put the money in to put a system in, they may want some sort of an agreement that they're gonna have it for longer than a 10-year period, correct?
Yeah, maybe.
But of course, also the language is in there that says it unless either party notifies the other in writing that they don't want it. So that really
Yeah.
doesn't hold to what you say,
But if you've got,
because either party could do
if
it.
you've got $1 million worth of equipment sitting out there,
Well, to Terry's point, I don't think he's saying that it's the 10 years is the issue. It's the issue of
Auto-renew.
contracts automatically go through and
An
nobody
automatic
takes a look at
renewal
them.
without,
right.
Then we're just locked into something.
I
again.
think that's an easy conversation to have with the Blue Peak team. That's an easy phone call. But, you know, I don't, we don't know that answer till we ask them. So, we can task Mr. McBride to draft that up and see what they say.
of course, that would be up to the council members that made the motion a second, whether they want to table this pending the answer to that, or unless anybody else has feedback on that besides me. I'd like to hear it.
By approving this tonight, we're just starting the process of approving an ordinance that will go on for at least 2 more council meetings.
Maybe longer if we don't figure out our publication issue.
So, I mean, I guess, from my point, if we
Let's get it.
draft it and we put it in there for the next time it comes up would be the first reading.
I'd consider this the first presentment. I mean,
Okay, well, I didn't know if that's what we were approving tonight or not, but we still are gonna have to vote on it
at some point,
again.
yes.
I'm all for this whole thing, and I'm with Terry, it should be an automatic. And the more competition, the more healthy, the more choices you got, I'm good with that. The only question I've got, and legally, is the thing about giving free internet. If we pass this ordinance, we're gonna give us free internet, how are we gonna deal with that and be legal?
We can tell them, no, we don't want free internet.
I think we need to, if there's going to be more than one source of internet to provide the city internet service, then we need to bid it out. And if they want to come back with a zero bid, then so be it. But at least we need to go through the bidding process.
And I have no problem with that, as long as we just
That would
don't-
be for the building, that wouldn't be for this.
Yeah, it'd be after.
That has-
Right, this is to allow them to come into the
Yeah,
city. Has
that has
nothing to do with,
this,
Right.
what we're
Whether-
talking about now.
That was my original question, that's what I was wondering.
that's a separate issue if
Right.
it comes up between them and the city for a deal.
So if we pass this ordinance and they come along and say, okay, we're giving you free internet since you passed the ordinance, now you gotta buy it, or how we gonna work that?
Just don't take it.
Yeah, we don't take it.
You say no.
We don't have to take it if we
But
don't
the
give
bid-
access to our
the bidding
our-
thing may be the way to go too. If they bid zero, and
There you go.
Well, and it's also
That's a whole nother
possible,
thing,
and
so.
I'm not speaking to them, but it's possible somebody wants to give you free internet and their internet is terrible, so you'd rather pay for it, because you don't always have to go with the lowest bid
Well, I think these are things we can work out as we go forward.
down the road.
Down the road.
So would it be possible for us to, all future communications with, what are their name, Blue Peak, be done by Chase and not anyone else?
Can. The main communication, I think, has been through MUB. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's,
You've been part of it.
it's been
On behalf
combined.
of the city, this council, anything that comes up needs, I would prefer you handle,
Okay.
and not this city hall.
If I can get more involved in it.
Again, I'm not opposed to competition here. I'm not opposed to them coming in. I am very opposed to the shadiness that has occurred in the past to get us to the point we are. There's been a lot of under-the-table drug deals.
So I'll tell you, to answer that, Charles, and we've talked a little bit about that, I've been a part of every conversation,
Yeah.
probably more so than MUB has been a part of. And typically, we don't have any of those conversations without either party in the room. So I don't have a problem with, if you want that to be Chase, just know that,
I think it is in the best interest of the citizens, Chase needs to handle all future communications on behalf of the city.
Do we want that billed separately? So we can keep tabs on it?
I don't care.
So
That's one. Anybody else?
Call for the vote.
So,
Wait a minute, what
have-
are we having to have
You're not voting.
one person talk about negotiate, or working with them? It's a city, it's a passing of an ordinance.
well,
Either,
I think those are things we need to discuss as we go forward, but tonight, it's,
It sounds like you guys want to table this, is about
Yeah.
what I'm getting from what you've been told or saying. I've heard you guys want research to make a change potentially.
And that's what I'm talking about. I want you to
Okay.
do the communications with them on that change.
I can do that. And just whatever you guys want to do, before you start approving, make sure you guys know what you're voting on, whatever that is.
this item in particular is, the motion right now is for we need to start the process before we can even get into what Chase is going to do, what we're going to accept or not accept. We need to accept starting that process. So that's the vote that we're going to take right now, is start the process or don't start the process.
So basically, if approved, this can be amended.
100%, 100%. But right now, we need to take the vote for, let's get it started or don't get it started.
so were you all agreeing or disagreeing with my modification amendment to strike that sentence?
That would have to be after we start the process. We haven't even started the process technically.
Would it have to be? I mean, we've got a proposed contract here without any votes of this council. So could we not go back and resolve these issues before we do starting
Yeah,
the process?
I don't know that you need to actually do a vote on it. I think you're basically saying start the process, but you're not approving of anything. So I can go back, talk to them, which I don't mind leading. I would prefer if Zach or somebody else is part of those conversations also, just because I don't know them, but I have no problem leading those. I don't know if you need to vote on anything, though. It sounds like you want to start that process. You don't have to vote to start that process. I think that process was started 6 months ago.
Exactly.
So I think this is a first reading is what I would call this. I don't know that you need to vote on it. And then we can make edits as needed, bring it back. That could be your second passes.
So we want to change our motion to no action?
That's what I would do based off what everybody's saying at least.
Okay.
I don't think you need to approve anything because I
Who
think.
had the motion and the second?
Steve,
Steve, you changed to no action?
I'll change it to no action.
Who had the second?
Shropshire.
I'll change it to no action.
Okay, call for the vote.
I'll,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll have to say, I agree with Chase. And whether or not I agree with Zach on everything or not, the people have elected you to be the CEO of the
Yeah.
city, and I think you should be a part of the talks.
I agree.
Yeah, I have no problem leading it. I don't want responsibility of decision-making. That's not my, I have, yeah. I'll
That's
just
not
make
your
it
That was
clear.
not my intent. That was not my intent.
I am not a, ninth council member.
Call for the vote.
Steve,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Okay, item B, discussion and possible action to enter executive session pursuant to 25307B1 of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act regarding the reemployment and reinstatement of former Officer Tanner Reese with the Pryor Creek Police Department at his former rate of pay, recognizing his original hire date of April 8th, 2019, to fill an anticipated vacancy created by Officer Lococo's resignation effective March 8th, 2026.
Motion.
A motion from Rushiers,
Second.
second from Steve Brown. Call for the vote.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
There we are. All right. We're gonna come back, item C, consider resuming regular session. No action taken during executive session.
Motion.
Motion
Second.
and a second from Steve Brown. Call for the vote.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire.
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
All right, item D, possible action based on executive session regarding the reemployment and reinstatement of former Officer Tanner Reese with the Pryor Creek Police Department at his former rate of pay, recognizing his original hire date of April 8th, 2019, to fill an anticipated vacancy created by Officer Lococo's resignation effective March 8th, 2026.
So moved.
Motion.
Oh, gosh. Help me out. Who had that
Bradshaw.
one? Bradshaw had the motion. Terry Lamar had the second.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Welcome back.
See you in the morning.
Welcome back. He never left.
Yeah.
We'll see you in the morning. Mama, make sure his shoes are shined up, please. All right. Item 6, committee reports, budget personnel.
10th of February.
Okay, ordinance and insurance,
331.
and street and maintenance.
Next Tuesday.
All right, unforeseeable business. I do have one thing I would like to just kind of draw your attention to. I did get a response back from ODOT this afternoon, and I gave you guys a couple of pages stapled together. Most everybody saw the letters that we wrote to ODOT. I put those out on social media for information purposes with an explanation of who was involved in that and who was there. They did respond back. Of course, they couldn't open the Google document, so I scanned it and sent it to them. Per our team's meeting, and this is from Christine Reed, the Department of Transportation, District 8 Traffic Engineer. She's kind of the head of all that. I will review the locations and get back with the city to discuss any comments on the locations selected. That is in regards to putting rumble strips completely across the lane, not divided like you see in many places. We don't want them to be divided, giving an opportunity for anybody to dodge them. I will then send the city a maintenance agreement for the continued maintenance of the rumble strips, since they are supplemental to the advanced warning signs, which are maintained by the city. Also, as discussed, ODOT will, as a courtesy, install the first set designed and requested across the lane rather than just in the wheel path. Thanks, Christine Reed. So you've got on the second and third pages of this little packet, we're going to recommend that those, and when I say we, that is Highway Patrol, Police, Fire, Emergency Management, and all of those that were involved in that, putting set of rumble strips at 500 feet and 1,000 feet from the stop line on the north and the southbound lanes in the 69 49th corridor. We also have reinstalled the diamond shape signs that indicate there's a stoplight ahead. We're waiting on the flashing lights to come in. Those have been ordered. We'll mount those up as soon as we're done. And that was one of the prerequisites that ODOT had before they would even really enter into the conversation. So that's all coming at a cost to the city, which whatever it takes to make this a safer corridor, we will do. And then we will, again, petition for possible, after review, to see if that helps, a possible modification of speed limit through that area if we need to, just like we did through Highway 20 and Carbide Road. And in that corridor right now, this week, they're actively doing their speed study that they need for their own analytics. So I wanted to make sure you guys had that. I wanted to be able to bring that up. More so, what I was going to ask is if the council would have any opposition to keep the momentum going on this, if that agreement comes through in the next 48, 72 hours, that in review with Chase and with Buddy, we'd be able to go through that, review that it's good, and get it signed and back so that there's not a long delay between process. So that's really what I'm going to ask the councils for. So I don't know if that requires a motion, but I would really like to get a vote on that.
I don't think you can vote on it.
Okay, well, then just know that's probably what I'm going to do. Anybody have any opposition to that? I'm open to hear your concerns. It's absolutely utmost importance to keep the momentum going that we've worked hard to get. So that said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
I have a motion from Steve Brown and a second from Brashears. You can call for the vote.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire.
Yes.
Okay. We'll go ahead and call to order the Pryor Public Works Authority. Item 2, approve the minutes of the January 6, 2026 meeting.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion from Steve Brown and a second from Brashears. When you're ready, you can call for that vote.
Rushiers,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire.
Abstain.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Approve claims for the purchase orders for the Pryor Public Works Authority through January 20, 2026.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion from Choya and a second from Steve Brown. You can call for the vote.
Tyler,
Yes.
Trammell,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire.
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers.
Yes.
And do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion from Brashears,
Second.
second from Steve Brown. And you can call for that vote when you're ready.
Trammell,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Shropshire.
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Rushiers.
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.